Hi, Eddie with a Mindful Emergence back with you again. And I want to talk on this video about mistakes that I've made using cannabis. And by the way, you probably noticed I got a different shirt, one of my favorites. I like to wear this in public places. It's a good conversation starter. Sometimes I get this and sometimes I get this. And so far I haven't gotten the one finger peace symbol, the other finger. So far so good. So anyway, mistakes I've made using cannabis. This is not about making a big confessional. It's not about beating myself up. And it's certainly not about any judgments I have about other people who may have done these things. This is just part of the conversation that I want to keep going on this channel about how to use this incredible plant intentionally, safely, and to gain the best benefit, the maximum benefit from cannabis. So I'm going to start with a couple of big ones. The first big one that I did this a lot when I first started smoking, which, by the way, was around the age of 18, coming on 19. Around 1967 is when I got started. I used to get high and drive all the time. And let's face it, when we're high, we're impaired. Okay. Maybe it's different for some people. And, but I can tell you there were many, many times I had no business being behind the wheel of a car driving after smoking cannabis. It was really stupid. And that's not something I do. And to make it worse, a lot of times I was mixing the cannabis with alcohol. So I not only was high, a lot of times I was drunk or further impaired in that way, and obviously not a good idea. In fact, another mistake that I think I made in general, or I know I made, was just mixing the cannabis with alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant. Alcohol is toxic. All right, let's just face the facts. And by bringing alcohol into the picture, for me at least, I feel I was degrading the experience, contaminating the experience. But, I liked the taste of beer and I just probably wanted to get more fucked up, because that was my thing that I was all about. And, you know, just not a good idea. And I haven't had alcohol since 2007, and I'm so glad my life is a lot better off without it. And now when I take cannabis, the last thing in the mind on my mind is using any alcohol. And I can enjoy my non-alcoholic beer. It tastes really good. So those to me were two of the bigger mistakes. The other ones, let's go through. So one was not really learning how to work with the plant effectively. I used to buy a lid. We called it a lid. It was an ounce for like 20 bucks back in the day. And I would get it in this little bag, like sandwich bag, plastic bag. So, and it never occurred to me to store it in glass or anything else. Just left it in this plastic bag, exposed to the light, not sealed properly, probably drying out. And who knows what kind of contamination was happening, transference out of the plastic back in the day. Not smart. And then I never really knew how to treat the flower in the best possible way to smoke it in the smoothest, most efficient way. I would basically clean it, get rid of the seeds, because this was all pre-Sinsemilla, so the seeds and sticks, clean it all up, just get it in a joint, get it in a pipe and smoke it. And never really thought about grinding it or anything like that. And I wasn't respecting my throat or my lungs at all. I didn't care how I ingested it. Give me a glass pipe, give me a bong, give me rolled joints. I don't care. So I was just taking it in all the time, never thinking about what kind of impact this was having on my health. I was never drinking water with it. I mean, there was a period of time when I wasn't really living healthy. All right. So another thing that I never did, which I do now, is think about having healthy snacks. You know, hey, we like to eat sometimes, right? So why not have something healthy that you can access rather than the worst possible thing that you might get your hands on at that time? So that was a problem. Another thing I never really did was question the source. Somebody showed up with pot, grass, we called it, smoke. I just smoked it. I never asked any questions. I never thought about what's in it or anything like that. And maybe it was fine. I didn't die or anything, which just brings me to another point is I didn't really respect the plant. I didn't, Now I look at this cannabis plant as sacred medicine, and I thank it and I respect it and I honor the land that it has grown on. And I try to use it intentionally in that way. Back then, honestly, I was using it like a drug just to get wasted, uh, not really respecting it. Another thing that I did was I can laugh about it, was really getting much too high in social situations. Um, the one that I think of is I remember I was living in the Phoenix area and there was this club, this jazz club I used to go to, and there was a gal at the front who would take the money, and I kind of had my eye on her, but I wanted to go out really high and listen to this music. So I would get wasted and I would go in and I would try to make time with this gal. And I swear I must have been dumber than a box of rocks because I'm sure there are times she just looked at me and go, what are you doing? You don't even make sense. You're so stoned. And I would put myself in all kinds of situations where I was just so high and just so dumb and not showing up at all as the person I could be. So just not using any discernment at all and how I use this plan around other people, something that I avoid now. At least I do my best. The last thing I want to say is, and this was another one that's kind of big, and that was assuming that cannabis would solve all my problems. If there was a problem, if something was wrong, if you just get high, everything's okay. Well, it kind of felt that way because I would forget about whatever the issue was and just listen to my Beatles records or whatever it was. And this ended up leading me into some problems. And I won't get into that, but it did result in a full-fledged addiction that I had to address. So, just not really understanding that I had to do my own personal work. And of course, I was young, immature. Um, it took time for me to become more self-aware as a person and grow up. And as that's happened, it's obviously influenced my relationship with this plant. And I know that cannabis can help open up insights. It can help me get creative, but it's not going to solve all my problems. Okay. And it's a big mistake. I certainly have learned that. So anyway, those are just some thoughts I had. I hope that's of value to you, just hearing those, maybe some reflection on your part, and maybe not, and that's okay. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you, and we'll see you next video.